My first question, to Sir Christopher, relates to the months leading up to the election of President Bush, and I wondered if you could tell us briefly what you learned yourself during those months of the views of the senior members of the incoming administration, in particular Donald Rumsfeld, Dick Cheney, Colin Powell and Condoleezza Rice with regard to Iraq.
It wasn't until fairly late in the day, in that year, that we knew who were going to occupy the chief positions in the Bush administration. So until that became clear, to find out what was going on, what was being planned, it became necessary to speak to members of a group who were known informally as the Vulcans. The Vulcans were a group of American advisors who advised George W. Bush when he was the presidential candidate, and when I went down to Texas in early 1999, which was shortly before he declared himself as a candidate, he said to me with very great frankness, "I don't know much about foreign policy. I'm going to have to learn pretty damn fast, and one of the things I'm going to have to do is surround myself with good people." The good people turned out to be this group called the Vulcans, led by Condoleezza Rice and Paul Wolfowitz. Paul Wolfowitz, of course, who became Deputy Secretary for Defense. So my team and I focused on this group and, as the year 2000 went by, certain policies began to take shape. I think the most definitive account I had of where the Bush administration was likely to go, and always bear in mind this was before 9/11, self-evidently, was a conversation with Condoleezza Rice at the British Embassy on, if I remember rightly, the 6th of December 2000, followed by a conversation with Karl Rove, who was President Bush's chief political strategist at that time, and over, I suppose, a 90-minute discussion at breakfast on the 6th of December, Rice spelt out the outlines of the Bush foreign policy. I already had instructions from London to put in a few fixes on how we wanted certain things to develop, and I have to say to you that Iraq and the Middle East did not feature very prominently in this account of where Bush's priorities would lie. Iraq, I just want to say a little bit more about context in a moment, but on Iraq it was, we need to look at this, things aren't going well. The policy of sanctions is in tatters, the smuggling, Saddam is getting away with blue murder. We need to do something about that. So I suppose the batting order there was nuclear missile defense, Russia in that context, not a lot about the Middle East. I remember her saying to me, "We don't want President Bush to become the Middle East desk officer, like Bill Clinton."